Uncharted 4, the final installment of the Uncharted series by Naughty Dog that brings with it 5 parts awesomeness and 1 part absolute frustration. For those of you unfamiliar to Uncharted, it is an adventure/puzzle/third-person shooter/parkour simulator. That may sound like a strange mix, but Naughty Dog found the secret sauce when they made these games, and I have to say, they are some of my favorite titles on the PlayStation console. There were many late nights spent creeping through jungles or abandoned ruins in order to find hidden relics and to complete miscellaneous challenges for the achievements. And after spending all of that time and energy, I have to give the games a big thumbs up. The story is well written, the gameplay is good, and character development is excellent. And the graphics suck you in with mesmerizing scenery. So after completing the first 3 installments of the series, I felt obliged to tackle the 4th and final game, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Remember when I said the Uncharted games are 1 part ass fuckery? Well, that is due to the difficulty settings. The difficulty settings start at Explorer, which is laughably easy. Then there is Light, which is nice and relaxing. Moderate is when things start to get serious. Hard is challenging. And then there's Crushing. Uncharted may not be the same in terms of difficulty as other titles like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, but holy shit, I bet Satan himself was proud of the developers when they came up with the Crushing mode. And guess which mode I will be attempting in this video. And if you would think that playing the other games would give me some sort of advantage in this game, then wipe those thoughts from your mind, because the AI are so intense that if I so much as a pixel past cover, they'll be popping out of every conceivable crevice to pepper me with bullets. So it goes without saying that I didn't just section off an afternoon for this game, I sectioned off an entire week, and that still wasn't enough. My poor computer was begging for relief by the time I was done recording the countless hours that amounted to me dying over and over again. But enough backstory, let's get into this hellish challenge as I try to complete Uncharted 4, Crushing mode. Things start off on a cliffhanger. My fishing trip is ruined when a fleet of pirate vessels converge on my boat. Things go pretty good until I am blindsided by a flaming Hulk and get washed overboard. I suddenly teleport back in time to my childhood. Apparently I'm an orphan that likes to pick fights, and when the nuns try to punish me, I simply sneak out and hang out with my older brother. It turns out he's about to ditch me, but he softens the blow with a motorcycle, so I guess everything is okay. Fast forward in time and suddenly I am in prison. I get in one little fight and the warden gets mad, sends me to solitary, and I have to sleep on the floor. But that's okay because the warden is working for us. He took a bribe so we could search a tower for Henry Avery's treasure. The warden wants a cut, which wasn't according to plan. And we mean to make our escape from the jail, but not before running into the friend I had made in the prison yard. The warden stops the fight, finds my crucifix, and gets mad. It turns out he doesn't like Catholics, which seems to piss off Rafe, who pokes him in the ribs. We flee the prison, only to abandon my brother.
Bruh.
Remember the pirate code. Those that fall behind, stay behind. Fast forward one last time. I am now a married man and spend my days filing paperwork, playing video games, and listening to my wife drone on about her career.
I don't think the magazine is going to like the angle that I'm taking because everyone immediately...
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
I will build a great, great wall.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by the... you know the thing.
Ah. What? Where are you?
I'm in here, being stabbed with a fork.
My life is barreling towards obscurity, and I contemplate a midlife crisis when a ghost from my past suddenly appears. Apparently my brother isn't dead, and he is finally out of prison. You would think that is good news, but he owes a drug lord a solid for busting him out of jail, and we need to find a pirate treasure to pay off his debts. I do what any brother would do. I lie to my wife's face, then jet off to Italy and steal a priceless artifact. Here we meet Victor Sullivan and his magnificent mustache. Do a little rock climbing and punch a waiter in the face. Our mission looks like a snap, but suddenly we realize that Rafe wants the same doohickey for himself, and he's brought his girlfriend too. I throw the circuit breaker, We make out like bandits, and now I just need to play it cool and no one will be the wiser.
Oh, scusi.
You're not supposed to be back here.
Well, neither are you.
I get my ass kicked by a girl, run for my life, and make my grand entrance into the main lobby. Apparently Italians don't like thieves, and we have to shoot our way out. All told, 22 deaths is my punishment for stealing a cross. But we make it to the car. Sully hits the gas, and we make like a tree and get the fuck out of there. Back at the hotel, we commit more sins by destroying a crucifix, lying to my wife again, and drinking the devil's spirits. But despite our debauchery, we have a new destination. Scotland is where we must go. Here I get to play with dynamite, fail miserably at stealth missions, and complete the absurdly elaborate pirate puzzles that are scattered about a cave. We make it to the main chamber, but my girlfriend shows up. We still aren't on speaking terms after the fight in Italy, and she wants to kill me. But before she can do that, the floor collapses, and Sam and I run for our lives. I get obliterated a few times, but the checkpoints are fairly given, and my determination cannot be broken, and we cliff jump our way to safety, and I am sitting on a paltry 47 deaths. It turns out the treasure isn't in Scotland, but rather Madagascar, so we saddle up the jet and fly halfway across the world. There we soak in the majestic scenery, play with a winch, and attempt to lower a medieval drawbridge. Apparently Nadine owns a mercenary unit, and they have something to say about my shenanigans. Filled with pure confidence, I throw myself at these wannabe henchmen. My confidence immediately becomes flaccid, and I remain deadlocked at this place for almost an hour. I take back what I previously said about the checkpoints. This section of the game turns out to be pure garbage as I routinely get near the end of the fight, only to be sniped from across the map by some random NPC hiding in a bush. By some miracle, I pull a victory out of my ass, and we carry on after 16 more deaths. But it seems that the game was just pulling a fast one, because soon after we are ambushed, and a horde of enemies repel from the ceiling like total badasses. Here, I'm introduced to the armored mercenary. He's like the other mercenaries, but he's wearing a helmet and knee pads, which means he's nigh unkillable. And just for a laugh, the game throws in a grenadier, who must be the reincarnation of Davy Crockett, because his aim is absolutely perfect, and he makes my life a living hell as I run circles in a deadly rat maze. Once I'm finally out of the Thunderdome, we head to town, do a little haggling, feed a lemur, and break into a church. Inside is the most overly elaborate puzzle that I've ever seen, but I complete it without much trouble, and even find some time to do a little remodeling. With swagger and resolve, we head underground and find a pirate reception room. Not piratey enough. That's better. After completing another puzzle that must have been built by Da Vinci himself, we get another location, and that treasure is as good as ours. But it turns out Rafe is a no-good filthy cheater and has hacked our phones. An ambush awaits for us outside, but we shrug it off and take a leisurely drive through town. For my next trick, I lasso a truck and get drunk through town. But I have seen Indiana Jones at least 4 times, and consider myself somewhat of an expert at this task. The thugs kindly inform me that they are the real Spielberg superfans, and routinely smash me into the dirt as I attempt to advance. The beating goes so badly that at one point they decide to blast me into an alternate dimension where the abuse can continue. With the death counter climbing, I finally reach my brother, hop onto his motorcycle, and it's smooth sailing for the rest of the day. When we get back to Sully, we figure out the final riddle. Our destination is not just a pirate treasure, but rather a lost pirate city, a paradise established by Captain Avery where the pirates can share all of the resources, property, and treasure. Some might even call it a
Commie pirate sanctuary.
communist pirates? Gonna have to work on the rebranding. I'm feeling pretty good until the game decides to throw a curveball and my wife shows up. Turns out she didn't appreciate all the lying, and she's more than a little angry. She storms out, and like a real man, I ignore the situation and go treasure hunting with my brother instead. We crack open a couple of cold ones, play in the water, and solve more absurd puzzles to find the true island. Before I can celebrate, the cold winds of foreshadowing hit and a storm blows in, along with a bunch of mercenaries in their tiny jet boats. We fast forward a little and we are now where the game started. A burning wreck blindsides my boat and I find myself marooned on a beach with no brother in sight. With grace and humility, I venture on, braving the wilds of the island until smashing into a literal roadblock that the mercenaries have thrown up. This is the part of the game where I underwent temporary insanity. For an hour and a half, my tender butthole was obliterated by an entire platoon of literal gods. If I so much as exposed the tip of my shoelace from my left boot, a wave of mercenaries would swarm in with speed and aggression that any Navy SEAL would envy. These enemies were the strongest that I encountered to this point. Their abilities can only be described as supernatural, as they managed to repeatedly headshot me from across the map. If their eagle vision and god-tier shooting skills was not bad enough, they also had Nolan Ryan pitching grenades from a quarter mile away. And no matter how far I got, if I died so much as an inch from the end of the map, I would get sent all the way back to the beginning. No checkpoints, no help, no hope. It took the literal hand of Jesus Christ himself to sweep down from heaven and help me advance. But I finally prevailed, and my death total now stood at a formidable 141. I managed to stumble across my brother, and we then discovered Libertalia, a crumbling pile of garbage that is slowly being devoured by the jungle. Did I say garbage? I meant communist pirate utopia, extravaganza. After a few unfortunate run-ins with the mercenaries, we arrive at the treasury and discover that all is not right in paradise. Apparently communist pirates are going to communist pirate, and the treasure was stolen long ago by the founding figures. But have no fear, for we have a new plan. Sneak into the founding pirates' private homes and hope that the treasure is there. Should be a piece of cake. It turns out Libertalia has a shoreline problem, and the ruins are littered with mercenaries. I ignore the game's glaring attempts at forcing me to use stealth, and instead use brute force to bowl my way through, just like any red-blooded American would do. Due to shoddy communist construction methods, the city collapses beneath our boots, and we must race for our lives. We run into Nadine, and we embark in an epic showdown. She may have kicked my ass during our first meeting, but now there are 2 Drake brothers. With our powers combined, there's no possible way that we can lose. We get absolutely demolished, but win on a technicality. But before we can celebrate our victory, Rafe shows up and reveals the terrible truth. It turns out that my brother is a big fat liar. The story about owing money to a drug lord was a total fib. My brother was actually bailed out by Rafe before double-crossing them because he didn't want to share. My brother somewhat repents for his sins and takes a bullet for me. I promptly deploy secret move 15 and nosedive off a cliff. I bonk my head, but no mountain can defeat Nathan Drake. I wake up in the arms of my wife. She has totally forgiven me for my indiscretions, and we set out to save my brother. Along the way, we discover communist pirate elevators, catch some serious air, and work through marital problems? I don't want to deal with this. We use the slowest elevator in the entire existence of humanity, and have a sweet elevator fight. At least, it would be cool if I wasn't fighting grenadiers that have been gifted with the arm of Zeus. Look at this! I try to wait out the grenades, but apparently my foes have access to a bag of holding, and their weaponry is unlimited. After much cursing and another 30 deaths, I pull another victory out of my butt, and my wife finally decides to help after doing nothing for the entire fight. About time, Elena! We take a pleasant boat ride down the river, rope a tree branch, and enjoy an awesome truck explosion. Tired, but filled with anticipation, we reach the gates of New Devon, and discover that the pirate leaders have committed gross crimes against their citizens. Communist government torturing its citizens? Thank God that doesn't happen in real life. We sneak into the city and ignore the nagging question as to why the leaders of a pirate communist utopia would need to have such extravagant mansions. Shoreline tries to stop our advance, but their defenses are meager, and I am a monstrosity of gaming prowess filled with copious amounts of caffeine and hate. We reach Avery's mansion and arrive just in time for our dinner date.
Check it out.
Oh my God.
What?
It's them. Elena, these are the pirate captains that founded Libertalia. What the hell happened here?
Well, I'm no forensics expert, but I would say bad drinks.
Apparently.
So what was this? Some kind of wealthy pirate suicide cult?
Yeah, not likely. Not these guys.
On behalf of Lord Avery, I invite you to my manor at sundown tomorrow. The time has come to abandon our animosities and reunite under the banner of God and liberty. Signed, Thomas, too.
It turns out the pirate lords had been double-crossed after double-crossing their citizens. By the powers of math, this equates to 4 crosses. Trust me, the science checks out. We are hot on the heels of my big fat liar of a brother, but we run into an ambush and must battle through what I like to call the hallway of hell. Mercenaries pop out of the woodwork, and nowhere is safe. I dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge my way to the tiniest sliver of cover. I must utilize all of the skills that I've gotten through this portion of the game, which I wouldn't need to do if my wife would fucking do something! I finally get through this living hell, and my death toll now stands at 278. We continue our pursuit and wind up in a spooky basement. I can't say I agree with Avery's decorating style, though the exploding mummies are a nice touch. After only a few deaths and a trademark Naughty Dog chase scene where I have to run towards the camera, we make it out of the spooky cave and discover a spooky ship graveyard. It is at this moment that I discover the hardest part of the game. The ammo is sparse, the enemies are brutal, and my sanity is dangling by a thread. I am still suffering night terrors from my experience with the armored behemoth that I had to fight in the hallway of hell. But now I have to fight two, and I have to do it without my trusty grenade launcher. And this abomination of a section would not be complete without my wife standing around doing fucking nothing! This part took me over 2 hours, and I racked up nearly 100 deaths. I am not lying when I say that this part may be the most frustrating section of a video game that I have ever experienced. And the raw video of this horror show will be uploaded to the internet as proof of the mental anguish that I was forced to endure. After crying myself to sleep and doing a little research, aka finding a YouTube video, I discovered a way to weasel my way out of my current predicament. The first step is to roll off of the mountain and cower behind this crate. Blind fire with the shotgun and kill all of the enemies that charge you. When they are all slain, move down a level and frantically run in circles and scavenge whatever grenades and ammo you can find. This may seem foolish, but this maneuver helps manipulate the RNG, which can save several frames in the long run. Drop down to the lowest level and play peekaboo with the enemies that are at the lowest level of the ship. Ignore the snipers on the upper level. Take them completely out of the equation. Also, allow yourself to be peppered a few times with bullets. The blood loss makes Nathan Drake lighter, which will save up to 15 frames. When the guys in the lower level are dead, kill the 3 guys on the upper level with grenades. You need to kill them quickly with 2 grenades. Now frantically refill those grenades, grab this magnum, and courageously book a full retreat to the top of the cliff before those 2 armored assholes are coming, and they are armed with magical machine guns that never run out of ammunition. Once you are good and safe, you need to ever so carefully peek around the corner and kill all of the weaker minions, leaving the armored guys for last. They will come to this position, throw exactly 2 grenades at each guy, no more, no less. This will knock off their hats, and all I have to do is put a single bullet between their eyes. And it's just that easy. 2 hours and 91 deaths later, I have passed the hardest part of the game. We save my brother, but the greedy bastard decides to forfeit our escape plans and goes back for the treasure. Come on! Do my sacrifices mean nothing to you? I track down my dumb brother, slide down a big hill, take a swim, and eavesdrop on the bad guys who don't seem to see eye to eye.
Either we can finish this thing together, or we can just end it right here.
Wait a minute. You mean the leader of this group is taking complete control through the use of force and is seeking to enrich himself at the expense of those underneath him, all the while saying that he's actually helping them and any sort of protest will be crushed with violence? Oh my god. I'm not just dealing with a spoiled rich brat, but rather a spoiled rich communist brat. I swim towards Avery's boat.
Oh, shit!
I'm sorry. Towards his totally awesome communist ship of fun. I sneak on board, ignore the vast fortune within arm's reach, and prepare for the final battle.
Sam?
Relax, he's alive. This idiot nearly got us all killed.
I'm getting him out of here.
No, you're not.
Rafe, you can have the treasure, all right? Just let me save my brother.
After everything he's done? How noble of you. But no.
We stay here any longer and we're all dead. Is that what you want?
That's not what I said. What do you think, Nadine?
I don't know as much about history as you boys, but I've got a pretty good idea who those 2 are.
Well, enlighten us.
It's Avery and 2. They killed each other. You're just leaving us here to die?
Oh, I'm just leaving. Whether you die or not, I don't really care.
Armed with nothing but the Constitution and freedom, I go to battle. When I played this game on easy, this part was laughably tame. But apparently my opponent has been taking fencing lessons in his spare time, and he repeatedly slices me to ribbons. I may have lost heart here, but I am mere moments from the finish line. During the course of this playthrough, I have experienced a level of pain and suffering that no mortal should ever be forced to endure. And I will win, no matter the cost. Because this fight has become bigger, and it's no longer about a trophy or a personal achievement, This is a battle between good and evil. I save my brother, and we escape as the cave collapses. We take one last plane ride, and I can finally relax, because now the terror has ended. We say our goodbyes at the docks. Me and my wife buy a marine salvage company, and we conduct one last fast forward. It turns out I have a dog. Oh, and a kid too. We live in a modest one-story house, on the beach of a tropical paradise. My nosy daughter digs through my things, and the story ends as I tell her about all the amazing adventures that I've experienced. Throughout the entirety of this playthrough, I was filled with so much anger that I am now shocked to discover that I'm experiencing a different emotion. I'm feeling sadness. Despite the absolute bullshit of the crushing difficulty, my experience with the Uncharted series has been a joyful one. True, the gameplay and stories of the games were fantastic, but I think the true strength of these titles is the characters. I have really connected with Nathan, Elena, and Sully. It's rare that a video game can make me feel for a character, but Naughty Dog was able to accomplish that feat, and the fact that they were able to do this over 4 separate games is no less than amazing. I don't want to see the story end, but an often unappreciated talent is to know when to stop the story. I feel that this is the time to wrap up Nathan Drake's tale, and trying to drag out the story any further would just weaken the experience for those players that have come to love this franchise. Watching this beloved series end is not easy, just as losing anything that a person loves is difficult. But I'm ready to say goodbye to Uncharted. Our relationship may have been rocky at times, but those difficulties just made the bond stronger. So I salute you, Uncharted. You may be done, but you will never be forgotten. What do you mean they made another one?